You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, I just asked this man when I let him in, I said, have I ever met you before? He said, I have. I've met you in a bar down at Frankston, I think, many, many years ago. I said, was I alcoholically propelled? I actually said, was I pissed? He said, no, you seemed to be making sense and you were quite pleasant. And I said, well, there's a good start to the day. And
so you must have been.
Yeah, and before I say who you are, before I say who you are, I've been wanting to chat to you because when I was, I'm about your era. I think you're 1947, I'm 1945 born. And you were the biggest thing in my growing up days in the 60s. You were as big as anyone in the industry. We'll get on to how the industry, how it stopped for you. That's common knowledge. But I've been wanting to speak to you for a long time, so I'm speaking to the great Normie Rowe.
And I'm speaking to the great...
No.
Sammy.
AM.
The devil.
He's an AM. Susan OAM, you're an AM. You're inducted into the Australian Music Hall of Fame in 2005, and rightly so. You came to your real prominence in the 60s, and you were huge. You're as big as anyone that's ever been in that era and any other era in relative terms. And so it's great to chat to you. Now, you will think I got the Dorothy Dix questions about Ron Casey and Vietnam and all that.
There's
of course,
that name.
That's just part of your CV, of course. But before we start, we'll do it the other way around. You are still performing?
Yep.
And I want you to tell me, Sue looked up your engagements. You've got some functions coming up. Why don't you tell us what they are?
Okay, so we started doing a new show called Normie, The Story So Far, which incorporates anecdotes of not only my life, but anecdotes of the last sort of 70 years of Australia's life. Yep. You know, things that happened during that period of time, and we talk about obviously the Vietnam War and all that sort of stuff, but we also talk about Armstrong landing on the moon, which was, you know, like an iconic moment, and how it affected my life and how it affected everybody else's life, knowing that you could put a man on the moon, but you can't talk out your differences. So it was an irony to me.
What a great premise for a show, and you obviously sing on it.
Yes,
as well.
Yes. So we've done 3 shows in Melbourne so far. We've got a few more coming up. We've done some in Adelaide, and just in southeast Queensland. We're going to do a national tour next year. And
you and anyone else?
Just me and the guys in the band.
Yes.
Which still retains the drummer from the Playboys, who is now 83.
Yeah, fantastic.
And every now and then we go past a surf lifesaving club and get him hooked up by jumper leads to a surf lifesaver so that we can keep him going. But he has now become not just the bonnet ornament of the show. Yes. I mean, I've become the second banana in my own show.
Yeah, no,
I've got to say, Trotter is like he's an amazing persona in his own right. We did Twin Towns last week, and we had a sellout concert, and I don't think anybody remembers that I was on stage because Trotter was sitting up there on the drums, and he just takes over. It's very cute.
They'd be all there because you're on stage, Normie. Let me tell you, you know that as well as I. Talking about the Twin Towns, I mentioned Freudian slip. If you said 1969 is the most memorable thing, that rivals probably with those planes flying into the Twin Towers in America in 2001. Yeah. Just extraordinary things that have happened in our lifetime. We remember 1969 because we were around, not many people
absolutely.
around.
But I'll tell you something very interesting, Sam. When those planes crashed into the Twin Towers on 9/11, I had just been admitted to hospital with my first absolutely momentous, dynamic crash of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Really?
And I spent 3 months in hospital there. So it was sort of like deemed that it had to happen on that day. But my life went down the drain for quite some time.
And that was the day Ansett Airlines ceased to be. They went out of business the same. Now Normie, we normally start about how you started, but this is the beauty of having a chat. The stress that you're under in 2001 is a culmination of personal events, or the blowback of the war, or people of the Vietnam War, or not being able to cope with what has caused that, my friend?
The precipitation was the fact that, and a lot of people don't quite understand what PTSD can be. It can be a number of things, and to each individual, it's their own version.
Traumatic stress syndrome disorder.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And so, if the stress at the time isn't dealt with, which you're starting to look at from young ex-service people coming back from deployments, if it's not dealt with, it'll sit there, and other life stresses, which we all go through, will bring those stresses up against us. So if you have some sort of...
There's sleeping disorders which suddenly arise when you're under pressure or stress, so if this was about Vietnam and your current induction into the Army, we'll get on to that in a minute. That staggers me how you got inducted enlisted. But that's so the war ended in the mid 70s, did it?
70,
or what? Whitlam
essentially 72.
So it's hung on for 25, 30 years.
Yeah,
has it?
Yeah, and it's a lifelong thing.
Just
it will always
simmering and smouldering underneath.
It's not necessarily one particular traumatic event. I mean, you can have a really severe car accident, and that can sustain, or you can have incremental stresses over a period of time. And those incremental stresses have everything to do with, if you're in a life-threatening situation for any length of time, you will retain post-traumatic stress. And so the moment we got into Vietnam airspace until the moment we were outside, every single moment of the day, 24/7 for that whole tour of duty period, we were likely to be in a life and death situation, and perhaps if we weren't super careful, and sometimes even though we were super careful, we could lose our lives. And then you just push that down so you could do your job, and it was pushed down. When I got back, my dad said, look, we've been watching what's been going on in the news and all that sort of thing with moratoria, etc. He said, the best thing you can do is forget you ever went.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to say.
And as much as I love my dad, it's probably not the best advice I ever received, because how do I forget not just my tour of duty, but the boys I went over with that didn't come back?
Well, I wasn't going to get on to this early. I was going to, as I say, do this in some sort of regulated order that I could follow, not you could follow. But so I was in the draft along with in the mid 60s, and they did a barrel with marbles that come out, and my teammate of mine, Wayne Closter, he got called up. My marble wasn't drawn out. I think Carl Dittrich might have been drawn out and gone to Vietnam or gone to Puckapunyal.
He went to Puckapunyal.
Yeah, that's right.
No well-known sports person went overseas.
No.
How about that?
You went overseas.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't a sports person.
No, but let me ask you this: you were a scapegoat. And now tell me if this is right. Harold Holt said we need an Elvis Presley to give the war a face, and you were the top pop. I know you were, because I was around in that decade. You were the top pop star and idol in the 60s, and he said we better draft Normie Rowe because it'll give it a good look and it'll give us some credence, and we're going to an election. And it was a political decision to put you in when you weren't even drawn out, you weren't even legitimised by having your name drawn out of a barrel. Is that correct?
Almost. the military attaché for Harold Holt at the time, and who spent his time in the Prime Minister's office, essentially, said, what you need is an Elvis Presley.
That's right.
Put it better.
So
and he
far
said,
I'm
so
right.
who would be Australia's Elvis Presley? And he said Normie Rowe.
So far I'm right, Normie, what I just said.
Well, but I wanted to take it a step
please, I
before
want
that,
you
where
to.
he got the
Yep.
idea.
Yep.
Because politicians don't know from clay.
No.
And,
Yes, that was-
and
shit.
he
Yep.
probably doesn't. He probably didn't know who the hell I was anyway, but he had to be told. So anyway, then they had 3 ballots before they got my birthday out,
So they rigged it.
essentially.
No, they rigged it, Normie.
Yeah.
And as I say, I wasn't going to, when doing this all around the wrong way, but your career ostensibly the huge following and the huge popularity you had, you were the face of pop in the 60s. You were named the pop star. I got all that. I'll get onto that in a minute. You ostensibly your career as what you were known for ended after you were drafted and after that you came back. Ostensibly, I know you're going beautifully and you've done things since, but no one was bigger. I know this. No one was bigger in Australia than you in the decade.
Well, I had a lot of trouble getting back into any sort of. I was constantly rejected.
Yes.
From the time I got back for.
You were pilloried by the great unwashed, as if you had anything to do with going and.
Yeah, but it wasn't just me. We all were. We were the scapegoats. The guys who came back from the war and the girls.
Yep.
And we had a lot of girls, especially the nurses and everything, who were magnificent over there. I mean, what they had to go through trying to patch up their countrymen was amazing. And so, we were basically scolded for almost being called traitors to the country.
Scolded for stepping to the plate when your country asked you to or ordered you to, whether you liked it or not.
Well,
it was against the law
or jail.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So I said this to someone when I found that out. In fact, I've known that for a while, but I said, why didn't you take some legal action over you being completely dishonestly drafted when there was a system that made it legitimate? You were drafted in there for political reasons, and your career, as it was known, ended then. Did you take any legal action, or did you ask to be compensated for loss of earnings?
I wanted to know this. How would I ever have known if in probably 74 or 5, I was coming off the end of the Eastern Freeway, and I kept going at the same speed that I was going on the freeway down Alexandra Avenue, and there was an officer in a police car pulled me over. He said, "You're going too fast." He said, "I see you were born on the same day as me."
Same day, same birth date.
And you drive the same car as me. That's a coincidence, isn't it? Because it was a Mazda RX-5, which there weren't that many around. No. And he said, "So how come I wasn't drafted?" And that was the first time that I realised that something was amiss. Okay. And it was a bit late then.
Okay, so I was right. You were erroneously and dishonestly drafted and asked to go over for a political campaign or political reasons. And why couldn't you, when you found that out, say this is wrong? You've completely stopped my career. I was riding high. I got all the stats here. You were the pop star of the 67 and 68. You had 8 top 10 hits before you were 20 years of age. You in 1965 you had 6 top hits. In 1966 you had 4, 67 you had 3, 68 you had 3. In the 70s you've had top 10 hits in the 70s, 10 of them. Top top hits. That is a career that has been completely shanghaied and completely cancelled through dishonesty. Normie.
Yeah, City Hall.
That's right. Well,
You can't beat City Hall. They lie.
So
You know,
you can't
the bureaucrats and the politicians
Yes.
lied. They lied.
They do.
From day one. I was in Kalgoorlie and I got a call in '67 and they said, "How do you feel now you've been called up?" And I said, "Well, I haven't been." And they said, "Oh, we're from the press gallery, and you have been called up.
Yep.
So how do you feel?" And I said, "Well, I can't answer that because officially I don't know."
That's
and
correct.
why would you know before I know?
Yep.
Why would you know such personal information before I know? And that was my beginning of
So
a
you're-
love-hate relationship.
No,
with
but you're
bureaucracies.
highlighting my
Yeah.
You're highlighting what I'm saying to you is so you suffered irreparable damage to your career. You were the most popular solo star of the era. That means the decade of the 60s. I presume that's the era or the era that you performed in, and it stopped as a result of stealth and dishonesty. And I'm wondering why you didn't have a claim against, say, hey, listen to me. I know you don't want to make money out of being a soldier, but there must have been someone. Did you have a manager?
No.
You didn't have a manager?
No.
Have you ever had a manager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I lost my manager about 4 weeks ago. He passed away. We were at his, I'm here in Melbourne at the moment. We had his
good
memorial celebration of life yesterday.
Good God.
John Blanchfield.
It's amazing to chat to you. That is so. And if you'd had a manager in the 60s when that was going on, he might have said, "Oh, let me just take this up with some
perhaps.
authority." Yeah,
The
anyhow,
thing
it's
is,
no good
you
worrying
see,
about
there's a couple of things really. I just felt like I was in the same mode as everybody else who was called up, whether they were
because
rightly
you didn't
called
know.
up or not.
No, you didn't know until the copper.
And from my point of view, I couldn't. When I got back, I had to decide what I wanted to do with my life, and I realised that I wasn't going to be the pop star that I was before, if you like, and I actually didn't want to be the pop star again because I discovered after seeing people living hand to mouth in a war zone, people dying, innocent people dying. And even before that, when I went to the UK, we went through Asia and Europe and then back the same way. And you saw how people lived in other parts of the world. Being a pop star was way too it was a way of self-aggrandizement, you know.
Yeah,
I just couldn't do that anymore, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So the only thing I really knew how to do was entertain people. And so if I was going to entertain people, I'd have to create a platform because that's, you know, you get your publicity, people want to come and see you, you do your thing, blah, blah, blah. But it has to be for a lot more than pat myself on the back.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So
yep.
then I also felt if I went back and tried to hold, all those people were gone by that time. Holt was dead.
Yep, he drowned. Yep.
And all the people around him, the only way that I really knew what happened didn't happen until about 2005 or 6, when a sergeant of police out at Charlton, Victoria, got in touch with a gentleman friend of mine from the Herald Sun, and said, "Do you know how to contact Normie Rowe? Because my dad, who was the military attaché to Harold Holt, always tried to contact me to say, I'm sorry.
Yep.
It was my idea that you were called up," and they took it and ran with it.
Absolutely extraordinary. So I wouldn't carry your bag. I wouldn't be qualified to carry your bags. But I was playing football in the 60s, and I was going...
vice versa though, Sam.
No, going pretty well.
No.
And if I had been called up, that could well have been the end of my career, or it would have set me back in anything I had in mind while I was trying to do while I was playing football. That'd be such an interruption. And I know you're called up and you go for your country, but you got to be called up if there's a system. You got to be drawn out in order to take pot luck that you get in or you don't get in. And I reckon that's extraordinary. And I know you. I'm not sure many people know exactly that, but they'd know the great Normie Rowe and why he sort of suddenly stopped to be, you were the king of pop in 1967 and 68. I went through that era and watched you. And people, I hope we have a lot of people listen to this, if they talk about someone being dudded and having their career ruined by just political ambition and stealth, this is the epitome of it.
Yeah.
I know you're not whinging.
Okay, but in hindsight...
You might be whinging.
Can I say in hindsight...
You're not at the minute.
I actually believe that I took the right decision in not trying to fight it, because I don't think I'd have won for a start. But on the other hand, it gave me more power anyway to be in support of the people I wanted to support in the first place, people who don't have a platform, other veterans, and I still like to think that I can help out other veterans when in their times of need,
And I don't think I have it written down, but I think you re-released a song in 2022 to do with Remembrance or
Compulsory Hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, which was written.
You re-released that, or you for Anzac Day, was it, or
yeah,
we
let
another
it
service?
We let it. It was from the band 1924, something I forget now. But it was a fantastic song telling the truth of Gary, who wrote it. His father was a Vietnam veteran, and things have got to ring true to me if I'm going to sing these songs,
Yeah,
and there was that, and there was another one called "What Have You Done for Australia," which we do every show, and the whole idea is really to keep alive the thought of, if we are going to send young people in general off to do our bidding on the world stage in areas fraught with danger, we should protect them before they go so they're well trained, look after them while they're away, and then afterwards pay them for the rest of their lives for the service they have given. And so being able to, I guess maybe that's what I'm taking out of it. Maybe that's why I can justify why I didn't want to go into court and try and do it.
But too modest, self-effacing, it's fantastic. So the demographic of people that come to your shows, there's a reason I'm asking you this, are they generally more mature people, or do you have a reasonably young following? That would the people that come to your shows know you ever sang "I Who Have Nothing," "Que Sera," "Tell Me I'm Not Home," "Breaking Point," "Pride and Joy," "Ooh La La"? Would they know any of those songs that you sang? And you sing them? Do you sing any of them?
Yeah, all of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. You'll have to tell me when you're on next. We'll come and see you. You sing all those?
I'll be in Melbourne on the 12th of October. Does this go to air before then?
My word, it does.
Okay. 12th of October, Brunswick Ballroom.
Yeah, well, having...
so you're going somewhere.
So after the day after the grand final, this is whenever we download this, we're doing this the week of the grand final. On the Sunday, Sue and I had been on a caravan trip around Australia, up to the top of Australia on the east coast, and on that day we're heading off because I had to come back for some grand final functions. We're going up again and turning left at the top of Australia and coming back at Christmas around the west coast in a caravan, and which we document on our YouTube channel. So I can't come to that.
You're not going up there at the right time for towing a caravan, you know that, don't you?
No, that's what, that now you can tell us why it's too hot, is it, or it's too wet?
It's too wet.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
All right. So have you...
I mean, I could turn you on to Bramwell Station, which is 175 kilometres north of Weipa.
Yes. We
and
went
it's a
through
great
almost
spot.
Weipa, didn't we? Going up to the tip.
Did you get to the tip?
We got to the tip, yep.
Yeah. You have to be careful who you go to the tip with, because you've got to kiss the person you're with on the tip.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, on the tip. And you've obviously been, have you?
Oh, yeah.
What in?
Oh, well, I flew up to Weipa and then
you
I
flew?
did shows in...
Oh, yes, and shows,
but
yep.
We
drove up in a caravan.
in the 60s. That's how we toured, in caravans, on dirt roads.
Yeah.
The road between Brisbane and Cairns was known as the Crystal Highway. You know why?
No, because
every metre there was a windscreen on the ground.
Yeah. And roadkill. How about the roadkill on the side of the roads? Anyhow,
not one road sign was pristine. Everything had a bullet hole in it.
That's right. So I wonder. So you sing all those songs. That'd be fantastic with the backing, and you speak about events that have happened during the years while you've been in the industry. Is that right?
Yep.
Vaguely right. Yep.
The other thing I've been doing quite a lot of is public speaking, because. I was asked to do a couple of things, and I found that I was actually reasonably good at it.
Yep.
And I don't say ums and ahs.
No,
and I don't use the word like.
No, yes.
I was like, because I hate all of those stupid phrases that come in from America. And there's a fair bit of history, and just about everybody can speak about the things they know about.
Yeah.
So the things that I've done in my life, or I've been involved in, or I've been part of, or I've observed, become of interest to other people, and that's something I really enjoy doing. You know why? Because I don't have to take a bloody band with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't tell the band, will you?
No, that's all right, but you just travel light, travel on your own. You can please yourself. Don't have to look after people. Sue and I, we get on. We get on well together, so there's no worry us going. Now, this is how I should have started. I should have started saying, you used to work for the PMG, and they said they didn't like the length of your hair. You've heard all these questions before, but they didn't like the length of your hair, and they said cut it or quit, and you quit, and that's how it started.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
The interesting thing was that the head of the engineering department of the PMG, when I was a trainee technician, I think had alopecia. I don't think he had a hair on his body anywhere. Yeah. And anybody with hair, he wasn't particularly fond of.
And you thrust yourself into a pretty strong group of Australian talent. Johnny O'Keefe, Cold Joy, I think may have been an inspiration to you.
Oh, yes.
Billy Thorpe. The Easy Beats. Well, the Easy Beats is a group, but I noticed that you toured.
Stevie Wright, yeah.
Stevie Wright.
He was wonderful.
He was wonderful until I think he got...
he got bitten by the drug thing.
He got hold of some analgesics. And that...
I think they might have been stronger than
that.
Yeah,
but they were a fantastic group. And I noticed that you toured in the 60s with the Easy Beats, Bobby and Laurie, MPD, Mike, Pete and Danny.
Mike Brady.
Up
there, Kazali.
And you went on
He was still a great mate of mine. Yeah. Great. And
he wrote that with
Mike keeps
Peter Sullivan.
Saying, I can't get any work. I can't get any work. And then he comes to this time of the year and he's working his arse off.
He is.
All over the place. He makes more money in about 4 weeks than I do in a year. And he's I can't get... Take the year off, Mike. Come on.
So you did that national tour in the 60s.
Yes, that was a great tour.
And they no bigger names than those in the 60s. Well, probably as bigger names, but the Easy Beats, Bobby and Laurie, and MPD. Mike, Pete, and Danny. Now I notice here. So then the 70s. Then after you were the named pop star of the era, after Vietnam or after you got drafted, I think Ronnie Burns and John Farnham might have taken over the mantle because you were out of sight, out of mind. And you were in the company then in the 70s when you came back of Brian Cadd and Olivia Newton-John and John English and all. We've had some, that's about a tenth of the people that of your compatriots and people you would have rubbed shoulders with. But
oh, absolutely.
None. I keep saying this. None bigger than you, mate. As I say, I've said to you before you came in. If I met you before, because I've known all that about you when I was growing up in the mid '60s.
You know what I think is the great shame. In the mid '60s, there were a lot of television opportunities for young performers. Yep. Right. By 1975, which was the end of the Whitlam era,
yep,
he'd convinced television stations that they had to have 2.5 hours of children's drama
yep,
a week, each network. And the network said, so what do we get? What do we trade off? And they said, well, what do you want to trade? Oh, the most expensive thing for us is to create variety television.
Yep.
And there used to be a V for variety rating.
Yep.
And he said, well, get rid of it then.
Yep.
In 1975, there were 61...
The socialist in him.
There were 61 live music spots on national television a week. In 75.
Yep.
Today, you'd be hard pushed to find maybe 5 or 6 in a week.
Amazing, isn't it?
And so the young people of today, and there's some enormous talent. I saw a kid busking yesterday in, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, on Saturday, in Burke Street Mall, and she was fantastic. She was every bit a star, and she's busking.
Yeah.
Any other time, take her back to when we were doing stuff, and she would have been, I don't know, Marsha Hines or, you know, she's that good, you know, and they got to busk to make some sort of impression. To me, it's just a sin. It's an absolute sin.
It is.
It's not going to affect me.
No.
But by the time I fall off the perch, so will my audience.
No, well, the only thing we have in life, Normie, are memories. We don't have anything else. You can say we have the future. You don't know what that holds. The present is us sitting here at this table, and the only thing we have in our life is to look back on what we've done and what we haven't done and how we've done it and
have a bucket
how
list.
we've stuffed it up. And so now you had a crack at going overseas, and I think you were a support act for the Seekers and the Big O at some stage over in the States. I see that you probably didn't have the success you hoped for over there, but that's is that because of the parochial? With the,
not at all.
Many the Easy Beats were an international band, were they?
They were they were a little bit behind us. We were doing well. We were touring with big international stars, people like Gene Pitney, and the Trogs. We were touring with them. We had top 30 records. Into the top. It's Not Easy went into the top 30. Ooh La La went into, I think it went to number 13 in the UK. So we were on our way. And by this time, Olivia Newton-John hadn't quite made it yet. We were compatriots of the Australians who were over there at the time, like the Easies, and MPD Limited were over there.
Were they?
Yep. Also, of course, like I said, Olivia, but the Seekers. I used to live in Athol Guy's unit. He had a lovely apartment at St John's Wood, and I used to live there. We had some wonderful times together. And once again, all of the people on my level, they were either just before me or just after me. And the way I saw things unfolding in the UK at the time, it was almost like a pecking order. You're next. Yep. And we were next. And I came back here to do a tour. And the minute I got back, I had to put in my papers for national service. I wasn't allowed to go back to the UK. So it wasn't just the 2 years in the army. Mate. It was 2.5 years.
Yep. Now, you mentioned, I hope I've got the right song, was Que Sera Was that from Porgy and Bess? Or
No, ain't necessarily so.
was from Porgy and Bess.
Porgy and
I'm
Bess,
sorry,
yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
Vaguely researched.
No,
The interesting
I
part
bet
about
you know how to do a drop kick, though.
yes.
None of the footballers of today can.
So that was from Porgy and Bess, which was one of your very big hits, and it was played everywhere in Australia. I love this. It was played everywhere in Australia except one of the top radio stations called 2SM. Which was owned by the Catholic Church, and they said it was sacrilegious.
Yeah,
and
to Santa Maria.
They wouldn't. Yeah, Bob Santa Maria.
No.
Oh, no.
To Santa Maria.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
St.
No.
Mary. But,
So that just shows you...
but, you know, the interesting thing was, had they not banned it, it might not have been quite as successful, because you know what kids are like.
Reverse psychology, yeah.
They rail against the status quo.
And when the changing of the when the Beatles started, and there was a more upbeat to some of the songs, they reinvented them. I've read this. You and other artists rewrote them and did them with a more upbeat style to fit the day.
Like
you
Que
moved
Sera.
with the time. Yeah, Que Sera,
Yeah.
that's correct. They're fantastic. Where did you? Stan Rofe I presume, had a fair influence in picking the songs out for you. How do you pick songs out like Que Sera and Ooh La La and?
I think in many ways they spark the imagination a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like singing songs that I can't identify with, because my job is basically as a conduit from the songwriter to the audience. And I have to have some sort of personal input into the songs. I've always been that way. So every now and then I hear a song like, wow, that's a great song, and then to try and fit that into my show is really hard now, because I've got so many of my own songs that were hits, and I understand that people love familiarity. They love the things that they're familiar with, so you got to include those things. And if you're going to do something, you would have to have some outstanding message to it, or some sort of connection that you know everybody's going to feel.
We will mention where the shows are and where you're going again at the end of this. You had a stint as not a thespian, but you were an actor. You were in Sons and Daughters, and you were, I can't think of the name of the person you were, Mr.
Abigail. My character Doug became married eventually in the very last episode of Sons
to
and
Abigail.
Daughters to Abigail's character,
Doug
Caroline. Doug Fletcher.
Doug Fletcher.
But she was a delightful person too, and amazingly, she was amazingly talented, amazingly educated in the dramatic field. Unfortunately, she was typecast early.
She was.
Which was a bit of a shame, because she never got a chance to do, for instance, what Jackie Weaver has done with her life, you know.
Yep.
And she's a magnificent actor too.
Yep.
But Abby was an incredibly generous person, and I was struggling with retaining the lines.
Yeah,
I
the script.
worked my backside off trying to remember every line. She said to me one day, "How many scenes have you got next week?" I said, 17. She said, "God." And then she said, "How do you feel about it?" I said, "I'm just about to phone my..."
Overwhelmed by it.
Well, I was going to get my agent to get me out of the show, because I just didn't think I was going to
And what did she say to you?
And she said, "Will you bear with me for 2 days? I think I can fix this."
Wow.
In 2 days, she fixed it. She gave me some
Tips to remember things by.
And then I realized, she opened it. It's not that I didn't know what to do, but she said to me, "We actors work off cues. It might be a cue from the previous actor. It might be a cue from physical cue, from moving from one point to another. And you're a musical artist, and you act off musical cues. when the intro finishes, you start singing.
Yep.
I said, okay. So when the guitar solo finishes, you sing again. So you're coming off cues. And I said, oh, right, okay. So then she showed me how to do, what happens in the first scene. What do you do in the first scene? And I said, well, I come to the door of Beryl's kitchen and I knock on the door. Beryl, are you home? And she says, yes, come in, Doug. What happens then? I walk in. And then I realise everything all the movements that I had to do, they became my cues.
Yep.
And I fixed it like that.
So
I can't snap my finger.
Arthritis. Right, the same with me. I used to be able to do it. It's just the old digit
Happy Hammond was the guy.
Happy Hammond, yeah. And the Three Stooges. Well, so I should know this.
So she was incredibly
God bless
generous.
her. Is she still with us?
No, she's been in care for some time now. Yeah, she had a bit of a rough trot.
Yeah. Well, what a fantastic thing for someone to fix you so you didn't stress so much.
She was very well trained. She did her drama training at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in the UK. So that's...
Yeah, because
as good as you can get.
You say, you mention the word Abigail, and people just remember the
boobies.
The salacious chat that there was about her.
She was much more than that. Much more than that.
Now you can look at your watch now, because I'm going to ask you. In 1991, Ron Casey, you sat across the room from him. And I'm still to this day not sure why he was having a go at you, or what. I could understand what got your gander up, but what was he on about? Ron Casey, not the one from World of Sport.
No, not that wonderful
but
Ron Casey. No.
Ron and Normie had a bit of a push and shove and a little bit of slap and tickle on whose show was it on? Mike Walsh's? No,
it was the midday show with Ray Martin.
Oh, Ray Martin, yeah.
I didn't want to do it at all. Like the day before, they kept singing, phoning and say, look, we'd like you to come in. I said, well, what's it about? And they said, it was about... the Republic and all that sort of thing,
So did they set you up to have a confrontation with Ron?
Yeah, one side of it was going to be the monarchists, and the other side was going to be the other guys.
Yep.
Anyway, and I was never a monarchist at that stage. I thought that Australia had sort of moved on, and we'd had a different sort of relationship with the Crown, if you like, that wasn't what it used to be many years, But I just didn't think Australia needed a change.
Yep.
It seemed stupid to me.
Yep.
And because we had the best, probably the most egalitarian society in the world.
Yep, we did.
And
so he became a bit aggressive with you just because you had an opinion, did he?
Well, yeah. It was funny, though, because on our side was Bruce Ruxton as well, you see. And Bruce Ruxton, Bubbles Fisher, Diana Fisher, and me. I mean, she was going, oh, dear, dear. And that's about her total input. And Bruce sat there. And a few years later, I ran into Bruce up in Tewantin at the RSL there, where he'd retired. And I said... why didn't you come to my assistance? Yeah. And he said, you were doing pretty well all by yourself. I thought, oh, thanks, mate.
We've just, I think they've just buried today Charlie Kirk over in America, who had an opinion about a whole lot of things, but just like to talk about it rather than actually have his someone shoot him or someone come over and belt you for having an opinion. And so Ron got his ire up, and he thought you'd probably a bit articulate or a bit making you a bit better wordsmith than he is. So he thought the best form of attack, of course, is to go and punch someone.
Well, he accused me of something that was just totally untrue. It was just a straight lie. And I got up.
What was that, Normie?
Well, he said, oh, that badge you're wearing.
Yes.
And all it was, I'd just become the first president of my regiment association.
Yep.
President or something like that, anyway. And it had nothing to do with the RSL. He said, you wear that RSL badge. And it wasn't an RSL badge. And I went over to show him on my lapel that I said, look, that's not an RSL badge. And he threw a punch at me, which missed. Yeah. And I went, really? Yeah. You're on television, you idiot. Yeah, it's extraordinary. Anyway, he was... he's gone now, and
you made up a bit, didn't you?
I tried to, but he's
a grumpy old prick.
Yeah, he was always adamant, and he had the most beautiful wife, Renata, and she was very upset with him.
Yeah, no, it's.
But look, these sort of things.
I threw a pie in a bloke's face on the footy show, and you're probably thinking that's something akin to doing that, but. He knew I was going to do that, Mr. Schwartz, so it's a bit different.
A few other things you did on the footy show.
Yeah, because a bit like you get up on stage and by the very virtue that you've got a microphone in your hand and there's the audience, it's live, it's not taped.
No.
None of our show was taped. If it had been taped or even on delay, no one would know any of the things that I did that got me into trouble because it was live.
Did you get into trouble a lot on the footy show?
Yeah, I got suspended a few times and fined, just because that's it, someone told me, I didn't take this to heart, but someone said, if you're not prepared to be sacked after every show, you haven't done your job. But I didn't do things for effect.
You wouldn't play a game without giving away a free, though, would you?
Today, you wouldn't. If I had played, I would have played 600 games if I had played in today's era.
Instead of?
You're not. I played 300, but you're not allowed to tackle anyone. You're not allowed to speak to them. You're not allowed to jump up and down on the mark. You're not allowed to do anything.
How many field umpires are there now?
There's 4. And
Harry Beitzel would have had a heart attack.
And the great, absolutely. It is. And talk about the umpiring it's cringeworthy because it is so demoralising to watch our game disintegrate into what it's become. And I know people love it, and they do, and it's exciting, and you'll get 100,000 people.
I don't think it's any more exciting than it used to be when you knew the rules.
No more exciting.
But what happened to holding the man, holding the ball, is every ball that hand passed punched?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
No, and as every kick that they kick these short, does it go 15 metres? Some of them go 5 metres, honestly. And then
this 50
no one
metre
ever
penalty
takes a mark
thing,
over their head, ever.
That 50 metre penalty that ended up in a goal.
Yes, 2 50-metre penalties. That's a man. That's people just showing that they are authorities and no one's going to mess with them. It is cringeworthy.
Alec Epps wouldn't have put up with that, would he?
That kookaburra. Now, so in life we've faced adversity. You've had your share of adversity. You lost your son.
Yeah. And more recently, my daughter.
Yes, I was going to get onto that, and I speak to people who I know have had other tragedies, and sometimes they want to speak about it, and sometimes they don't. But that must have, if the war knocked you around a bit, and that must have been just a different sort of stress and anxiety and grief that you've had to bear, Normie.
Yeah, well, if you're still here on the planet, you have to get up and
I know,
continue,
You do.
And sometimes it takes a while to work it out.
It says that you have a son, and
yes.
You have a son that's is sort of anonymous son that you don't mention.
No.
Do you?
My son's Sam.
Sammy,
yeah, he runs Snap Fitness up at Nerang on the Gold Coast.
Well, it said there it was you have a son that you had a son in 1965. It says a son is anonymous. That's not him. That's Sam.
No.
That's not Sam.
No. My first son was Adam, and he was born in 71.
So I've got right through this until the last 2 things I've asked you, and they've been completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not unusual.
No, that's not unusual for me, but I feel fortunate. I've got through. No, Normie.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
I've wanted to ask somebody who plays. I mean, we had a bit of a preliminary chat about what's happened to AFL.
Yes.
You know, I have never seen so many behinds kicked from in front of the goalposts, 10 metres out. How do you miss that if you were an athlete, an elite athlete, and in fact an elite footballer, when the name of the game is football and you've got to kick the...
It's a very good question, Normie. This is my answer to that. In days gone by, sides picked players who were legitimate goal kickers, who had designated forwards. We had the great forwards like...
John Coleman.
Going back, John Coleman.
That's who I started
Jason Dunstall, all the great goal kickers, Doug Wade.
Plugger,
all of them were designated forwards, and they were asked to stand in the square, and when someone in the same coloured jumper got the ball up around the centre line, make a lead, and not just stand there and don't just bomb it down, and look for the people who could. Don't forget, the back men have to wait for the forwards to make a move before they chase them. That's the name of the game. And those people were designated goal kickers. That's what they got a game for, because they were accurate kicks. Very few people, I don't think anyone this year is going to kick 100 goals. Very few people kick 100 goals these days, because everyone is charged with running up and down the ground, taking hand passes, chipping the ball backwards and forwards, kicking it out to the boundary line, then trying to do the banana kicks in. There's no designated kickers at all. Everyone is meant to be able to kick properly, but ruckmen are not meant to. Ruckmen are in there for a different reason. The on-ballers are in there for a different reason. We used to...
Bobby Skilton wouldn't got a game there. He wouldn't be tall enough.
He would...
Jack Clark,
but they're all... It's just an aerobic game of running up and down the ground, which to me is fine, but it is lost its identity. You used to have...
Positional play.
You used to have one man. You used to go and watch Farmer and Nichols playing on one another.
Yeah.
Carey and Jakovich playing on one another. Plugger and anyone else who he'd like to beat up who came down and spoke.
You wouldn't pick him though, would you?
You used to go to watch the clashes. Now you don't go. You just go to watch this rolling scrum of players. Some of them hand passing, some of them throwing, umpired beyond belief, the stupidity of the umpiring. But never blame the people that work for you, Normie. Always blame the people who employ you. If the AFL can't oversee the decline, I know it's popular and they think it's great,
Fish smells from
but
the
they're
head.
trying to be all things to all people, and you just can't be. It's a contact sport, and sometimes there's a duty of care if you play a contact sport that you might get hit hard and you might fall onto the ground and you might get injured, but we don't want any contrived people who hit behind the play. We don't want cowards, but for heaven's sake, people go along to be entertained. I don't reckon a lot of the football playing is entertaining. It's exciting,
Can I
but it's
tell
not
you something?
entertaining.
For about 6 years, maybe longer than that, I was taking my kids to the ice rink every Tuesday night for training. My daughter and my son played ice hockey.
Yep.
Right?
Where?
In Sydney.
Oh, in Sydney, yeah.
And Sammy at that stage, he was about probably 4.5, 5 years old. Those kids, the under fives, the atoms, or the under sixes, they couldn't get jerseys small enough. So we had to get the next size up and tuck them into their ice hockey boots.
Did you?
Right?
Fantastic.
Now, the kids learned to skate pretty quick, right? But they didn't understand their positional play or any of that thing quite yet. And it was like you dropped the puck and it looked like somebody dropped a dog's dropping and all the flies.
Yeah, that's
now,
it.
that's what AFL has become. 5-year-olds playing ice hockey.
I wish I'd thought of that's a great analogy. On that great analogy, Normie, now just tell us again. I reckon I can't come, but I tell you what, we would have gone out of our. Where are you doing it? You're not doing it up the top of Australia or around the west coast, are you?
So our next three shows are at Swan Hill.
Yep.
Port Arlington.
Yes.
And then the Brunswick Ballroom on Sunday, the 12th of October.
And if we want to go along to it, we go to Ticketek. What do we do?
Go to normierowe.com.
Normierowe.com.
All the.
That's how we got hold of you.
That's right, you did too.
Sue said, I said, I'd love to speak to Normie Rowe. And she said, well,
you've got Sue, right? And I've got my wife, Samantha. She's a whiz on the...
Yeah, Sue, she's fantastic. And I said, not Google him, email him. And she said, Sam would like to... And she said, you wouldn't believe it. They got back to us. And I said, how fantastic. So that's why we're here. Now, Normie, I tell you, I've told you this before. I've grown up with you. I've always, you were the man in the day. And it's great to speak to someone who was the person of the day. No matter what day it is, you're a star in your own era, and it doesn't matter. You could be a good footballer back in the day, and if you're a good footballer now, you're still a good footballer. So it's great to speak to you.
Same here.
And we wish you well in your future endeavours.
Thank you very much, and for you, and that wonderful trip you're taking.
Yes.
Where are you going next?
We're going over to Adelaide in an essential caravan, and then we're going up the middle through the middle of Australia, up to Darwin and Broome and across the top. And
okay, so you've got to stop at Marlborough.
Marlborough.
Marlborough, Marlborough.
Yeah, why have we got to stop there?
Well, because there's not a lot between Whyalla and Alice Springs.
Okay.
So that's one place.
Let's get some fuel for a start.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Pretty thirsty.
It's up the Stewart Highway.
Yeah.
And then you of course, you're going to go to the Rock.
We're going to, do a bit of off-roading.
The Olgas?
Yeah, the Olgas and the
Kings Canyon
bungles and
the bungle. You're going to do the bungles?
I don't know. I drive the truck. I drive the truck and the van, and that person there, navigates. And that's exactly what we do. I say, you can take me to any place. Don't make me drive for more than 4.5 hours in any one day. And she plots the places we stay at and the caravan parks or
Kings Canyon.
Yeah,
going to do that.
She's listening to all this. We'll replay this. And you say it's wet. That's the wet season.
Up north it can be wet at that time of the year you're travelling.
The whole of Arnhem Land's underwater.
Let me tell you something that's really funny. We did this thing called the Celebrity Overlander Safari, and we had about 10 coaches, and each coach had a celebrity in. And we get to Alice Springs. I took my 2 kids with me, and we got to Alice Springs, and the John Flynn Historic Hospital is still there, and that's really fascinating. But out of that building, they operate School of the Air.
Yeah, flying doctors.
As well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the School of the Air, the teachers are at Alice Springs and the kids are out in the properties. Now, some of these kids it's been drought for 10 years. They've never seen rain.
Yeah.
We were living in a place in Sydney called Barara Waters, where you couldn't get to our place by car, okay? So I said to my kids are talking to the kids.
Why couldn't you get to your place?
I'll tell you, it'll be...
sorry, yes. Don't preempt the story, yes.
So my kids are talking to the kids out on the stations. And I said to the teacher, ask Erin to explain how she gets to school. And she said, how do you get to school, Erin? She said, well, I get in my school uniform and then I go down the stairs and I get in a boat and all the kids go, wow!
Fantastic.
Because they've never seen rain, let alone a flowing river.
No.
Right. And it's just, this is such an amazing country of contrast.
Poor old Donald Campbell came out to break the world land speed record
on Lake
Eyre. They haven't had rain there for 55 years, and it pissed down so much so that they...
I think that's probably why he ended up in the Bluebird.
That's right. Normie, this has been a delight. You're a great, you're a great man. You have been a great man, and I wish you well. I just said that before, so thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us.
My pleasure, Sam. It's been good fun.
We go off to this music.